Good morning, dear students. I welcome you again in the English literature class. In today's class, we will be studying a remaining portion of your story, A Horse and Two Goats. So let us begin the story. In the previous class, we have studied up to here. Now we will begin this story from the last paragraph of your page number 54. I'm sure everybody is at the page number 54. He flung himself down in a corner to recoup from the fatigue of his visit to the shop. Muni felt too much tired of his visit to his shop. Here, fatigue means his tiredness, and he sat at the corner to recoup. Recoup means to regain or to recover. After all, he would go to the shopkeeper daily to ask the eatable items on credit. His wife said, "You are getting no sauce today, nor anything else." His wife said to him, "You will get today no sauce and nothing else you will get to eat. I can't find anything to give you to eat. Fast till the evening, it will do good. Take the gods and be gone now." She cried and asked, "Don't come back before the sun is down." He knew that if he obeyed her, she would somehow conjure up some food for him in the evening. Only he must be careful not to argue and irritate her. Now, here his wife said to him, "I cannot offer you anything to eat." And she got too much irritated and frustrated. And she said to him, "Take these gods and get away from the house. And do not come back to the house, till the sun goes down." And Muni thought, if I obey her, she would probably arrange me some food in the evening to eat. Here, conjure up means to arrange something or to bring up something. So only there was one condition to him, that he must be careful not to argue and not to irritate her. Her temper was undependable in the morning but improved by the evening. She was sure to get out and work, grind corn at a big house, sweep or scrub somewhere, and earn enough to buy foodstuff and keep a dinner ready for him in the evening. In the morning, her temper was too much, but by the time till evening, she would improve her temper. She would lose her temper gradually, and in the daytime she would go to the big house and grind some corn and wash some plates sometimes and earn something to get the food stuff, means food materials, to keep dinner ready for this Muni. Unlashing the gods from the drumstick tree, Muni started out, driving them ahead and uttering weird cries from time to time in order to urge them on. He passed through the village with his head bowed in through. He did not want to look anyone or to be accosted. A couple of cronies logging on the temple corridor hailed him, but he ignored their call. Unlashing means releasing. Early morning, he would release those gods from the drumstick tree, where he would tie at the trunk of this drumstick tree. So here he would release his gods in the every morning and drive out to graze these two sheeps. And he would cry out some kind of strange voice. Here, weird cries means a strange voice that would come out from the mouth of this Muni time to time, in order to request, in order to urge those gods. Now he would walk through the village and his head was just down. He would never talk with anyone. He does not want that anyone to be accosted. Accosted means, somebody coming near. Accosted means to come near. So here he does not want that somebody should come near to him and talk to him. Now a couple of cronies. Cronies means, chum. Chum means a closest friend. Logging means sitting in the temple corridor, and they hailed him. Hailed means called him. But this Muni, he refused completely their call. The shopman had said that he was 70. At 70, one only waited to be summoned by God. When he was dead, what would his wife do? They had lived in each other's company since they were children. He had been told on their day of wedding that he was 10 years old and she was 8. Progeny none. Perhaps a large progeny would have brought him the blessing of the gods. Muni would always think about his age, that he was of 70, and it had been said by the shopkeeper where he would go to ask those eatable items on credit. And further, he was told that at the age of 17, he might be waiting for a call from God. And when he dies, what will be of his wife and what shall she do? They had lived with each other since they were married, and at the time of marriage, this and he had been told on the day of their wedding, on the day of their marriage, that he was of 10 years old and his wife was of 8 years old. Progeny none. Progeny means offsprings. Their children were none, and nobody knew about their descendants. Only on the outskirts did he lift his head and look up. He urged and bullied the gods until they meandered along to the foot of the horse statue on the edge of the village. He sat down on its pedestal for the rest of the day. The advantage of it was that he could watch the highway and see the lorries and buses pass through the hills, and it gave me a sense of belonging to a larger world. The pedestal of statue was broad enough for him to move around as the sun traveled up. So Muni would raise his head just outside of the village. When he reached at the edge of or boundary of the village, he would raise his uh, head. Outskirt means out of the village. He would urge and bullied his gods until and unless they reached at his destination, which was almost at the edge of the village. And as you know, here he would sit at the pedestal means a bottom part of the horse statue. So he would sit over there for the rest of the day. There was one advantage for him to sit over here for the rest of the day. From here he could see all the lorries and buses which were passed through the hills and move on the road. So here he would feel like anything, he would feel very happy and he would get a sense that he belonged to a larger world. The pedestal of this horse's statue was, enough wide and broad so that he could move throughout the day. And as the sun traveled from eastward to westward, he could move himself in the shade of this horse's statue. Now turn over the page and come to the page number 56. The horse was nearly life-sized, molded out of clay, baked, burnt, and brightly colored, and reared its head proudly, prancing its forelegs in the air and flourished its tail in the loop. Beside the horse stood a warrior with saint-like mustachios, bulging eyes, and aquiline nose. Here we have been introduced about the structure of the statue of this horse. This horse was something like life sized, then it was molded with clay means mud, and it was fully decorated with brightly colored, white colored, and its structure was something like a raised, it was something like raised from the head proudly, and it was fully flourished, and its tail was something like a round one. And moreover, this horse stood something like a warrior, like a saint like means here that horse which we can use to carry the heavy loads. And mustachios, bulging eyes means something like curving outside. And aquiline nose means curved down. The horse itself was said to have been as white as Dobby's washed sheet, and had on its back a cover of pure brocade of red and black lace, matching the multicolored sash around the waist of the warrior. The color of the statue was something as white as the Dobby's washed sheet, and on its back there was a cover of pure brocade. Here, brocade means a precious material or thick, heavy, expensive material of red and black lace. And there was a multicolored belt all around its waist. But none in the village remembered the splendor, as no one noticed its existence. Even Muni, who spent all waking hours at its feet, never bothered to look up. It was untouched even by the young Vendels of the village, who gashed tree trunks with knives and tried to topple off milestones and inscribe lived design on the wall. The statue had been closer to the population of the village at one time when this spot bordered the village. Now nobody in the village remembered its beauty of this statue, and nobody noticed its existence. Even the Muni, one who always spent time over there, one who always sat under the shade of it, and he too never bothered about this statue. And moreover, this statue of horse was untouched by even a single person of the village, even by the young thieves or robbers or destroyers of the village. Young thieves are destroyed in the village. What they do, probably they break off the milestones, probably they write this and that on the wall, they draw the unnecessary things on the wall. So means to say that it was very much untouched by them, and even it was unnoticed by all the villagers. Muni sat at the foot of the statue, watching his two gods graze in the arid solid among the cactus and lantana bushes. He looked at the sun. It had tilted westward, no doubt, but it was not the time yet to go back home. If he went too early, his wife would have no food for him. Also, he must give her time to cool off her temper and feel sympathetic, and she would scrunch and manage to get some food. Muni would always sit at the foot of the statue, and whereas his two gods would graze all around the here arid means a dry place, dry soil where cactus and lantana bushes grow. So every time he would look at the sun until it had tilted westward. Here, tilted means to move from eastward to westward. And until sun goes down, he would not go back to his house. He knew that if he went back home earlier, his wife will not be able to arrange something for him to eat, and she will probably get angry on him. For the sake of this, he would go back to his house late night so that his wife may have some kind of sympathetic love. Sympathetic means love and care towards him, and here so that she would scrunch means look around to cook something to manage food for Muni. He noticed now a new sort of vehicle coming down at a full speed. It looked like both a motor car and a bus. He used to be intrigued by the novelty of such spectacles, but of the late work was going on at the source of the river on the mountain, and an assortment of people and traffic went past him, and he took it as casual and described to his wife later in the day everything he saw today. Muni would notice here the variety of vehicles coming down at a full speed from the high hill, and it was probably something like a motor car and bus. And he used to get intrigue. Intrigue means happy or pleased by the novelty of such spectacles, means he would get happy with the newness of this sight, and at the end of the day he would collect all those memory of the day and would narrate each and everything to his wife what he saw throughout the day. Today, while he observed the yellow vehicle coming down, he was wondering how to describe it later to his wife when it spurted and stopped in front of him. A red faced foreigner who had been driving it got down and went around it, stooping, looking, and poking under the vehicle, Then he straightened himself up, looked at the dashboard, steered in Muni's direction, and approached him. One day, Muni noticed that a yellow wagon was coming down towards him, and he was thinking how he would describe about this yellow wagon when he would go back to his wife. Car came in front of Muni and spurted and stopped. Here, spurted means a car did some kind of noise, some kind of voice like cut, 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 like this, and it stopped. And a red faced foreigner was driving this car. He got down and went all around the car, checking whether what happened to his car. He strengthened himself and looked all around, looked its dashboard, and stared at Muni's direction where he was standing. Then he approached, he came closer to Muni, and he began to ask Muni, "Excuse me, is there any gas station nearby?" He began to ask Muni whether there was any gas station or petrol pump, or do I have to wait until another car comes? He suddenly looked up at the clay horse and cried, "Marvelous!" Without completing his sentence, Muni felt he should get up and run away, and cursed his age. He could not readily put his limbs into action. He suddenly saw this statue of the horse and saw its beauty and just shouted out, "It's a marvelous." Now, without completing the foreigner's next sentence, he felt he should run away from there, but he was very much old and he could not run away. And even he could not see the face of this red American. The red faced man wore khaki clothing, evidently a policeman or soldier, Muni said to himself. Now, Muni thought inwardly that this man, a red faced man, probably might be a police because he was wearing a khaki dress. He will chase or shoot if I start running. Now, he thought in himself that if he run, he will probably shoot him. Something dog chase only those who run. Oh, Shiva, protect me. He will chase me same like the dog chase us when we run. I don't know why this man should be after me. Meanwhile, the foreigner cried, "Marvelous!" again, and nodded his head. He paced around the statue with his fixed eyes on it. Muni sat frozen for a while, and then fidgeted and tried to edge away. Now the other man suddenly pressed his palms together and smiled and said, "Namaste, how do you do?" Muni got very much scared of this foreigner, and he inwardly prayed to Lord Shiva to protect him. And he didn't know that why this man is asking to him, what this man is asking to him. Meanwhile, when he was mumbling inwardly, this foreigner cried out again, "The marvelous," and he nodded his head. Nodded his head means he was something doing like this, whether he is understanding or no. Then he paced all around the statue. He just walked all around the statues, fixed on its eyes on the statue, and Muni sat very quietly on the other side and was thinking to move away from there. Here, fidgeted means sitting very nervously, means he was getting too much scared. So meanwhile, this foreigner came in front of Muni and he pressed his hand. He shook his hand with the Muni and he said, "Namaste, how are you?" At which Muni spoke only English expression he had learned, yes or no. Having exhausted his English vocabulary, he started in Tamil. "My name is Muni. These two gods are mine, and no one can gainsay it. Though our village is full of slanderers these days, who will not hesitate to say what belongs to a man doesn't belong to him." Now Muni, exhausted from his English vocabulary, since he was having no knowledge of English, he started to speak now in Tamil language. He began to introduce about himself and said, "My name is Muni. I have these two gods, and these two gods are mine. No one can deny this." Here, gainsay means cannot deny it. Now here he is giving little explanation about his village, and he is saying further, these days our village has become very defamed. Defame means got a bad name because there occurred murder near the border of two villages. The foreigner faithfully looked into all the direction indicated by Muni's finger, gazed for a while at two gods, at the rocks, and with the puzzled expression, he took out his silver cigarette case. Now, what happened exactly? Whatever Muni was telling to him, he was not understanding anything, and he just focused to see all around the places where this Muni indicated from his finger, and he was gazing at his two ships, which he indicated from his little finger. So now here he got very much confused and puzzled, and eventually he took out his cigarette case, silver cigarette case, from his pocket, and he just began to offer this cigarette to Moni, and he began to ask, do you smoke? Now turn over the page number 58. Now on this Muni answered yes or no. Both answer he replied. Only two things he knew in English, that is yes or no. Whereupon the red-faced man took the cigarette and gave it to the Muni. Now Muni received this cigarette with all surprise. Why? Because nobody was there to offer a smoke in those days, because everybody would hate this Muni. He had always wanted to smoke a cigarette. Only once did the shopman give him one on credit. Actually, this Muni was craving, he was desiring to have a smoke inwardly. But there was one thing, the shopkeeper was not giving anything at all to him on credit. And he remembered how good it had tasted. Now Muni is, enjoying it in its taste. The other flicked the lighter upon and offered a light to Muni. Now this foreigner, he began to lit the cigarette of this Muni and offered the lighter. Muni felt so confused. Now Muni felt very much confused. What to say, what not to say. Actually, this foreigner offered him a lighter to light the cigarette. Muni drew a deep puff and started coughing and drinking, no doubt, but extremely pleasant. He smoked very deeply and began to cough like but he was enjoying like anything with this cigarette. When his cup subsided, he wiped his eyes and took shock of the situation, understanding the other man was not an inquisitor of any kind. Now, after when his cough get decreased, subsided means getting less or decreasing. So he thought that the another man who was sitting with him, he was not desirous of the smoke. Yet, in order to make sure that he remained wary, but still he remained very careful, and he thought, if I speak too much, he will doubt on me. So he thought, it is very much better that I keep talking with him. This is only the way to escape from this man. But however, he trusted on this American man, and he thought, who would give me such a potent means powerful smoke. And his head was reeling from the effect of the cigarette. His head was reeling means his head was moving like anything after having this powerful smoke. This American cigarette made with roasted tobacco. This cigarette was very much powerful, that was made up of roasted tobacco. Then the man said, I come from New York. Now this American man, he began to introduce about himself that he had come from New York, and took out his wallet, and he just took out his wallet and showed him his card. He presented him a card. Now Muni shrank from this card. Now Muni misunderstood from this card. After showing his card, he thought that perhaps he is trying to present me a arrest warrant, and he is trying to arrest me. Inwardly, he is thinking that I should be beware of this khaki. Then take all the cigarettes, whatever is offered, but don't get caught. Now he is thinking to return back his all the cigarette whatever was offered to him, and he was thinking that I should not be caught by this. Now he wished he were not a 17 as the shopman, he said. Now, again and again, he was continuously thinking about his age. At the 71, he did not run. Now, at this time, he could not walk or could not run anymore. And whatever he would say, he should have to surrender. He could only ward off trouble by talk. Now, there was only one way to ward off, means get off from this trouble, that he should talk whatever he asked. So he went on. So he continuously talked with this American man in all in the chest Tamil, for which Kritam was famous. Now he continuously began to talk in here. Chest means simple Tamil language. He used very simple Tamil language for what this village Kritam was very much famous. And he said before God, and he began to explain about the murder, and he said, Bhagwan who see everything. Now he began to say to this American man that Bhagwan see everything. I tell you sir, that we know nothing of the case. Now he is explaining here about the murder, that we know nothing of the case. If the murder was committed, whoever did will not escape. Bhagwan is all seeing. Don't ask me about it. I know nothing. A body had been found, mutilated, and thrown under the tamarind tree at the border of between Kritam and Kupam. And he said to this American man, thinking that he is a policeman investigating of this murder case. He said, "Sir, I don't know anything about this murder, and whoever has committed this murder, Bhagwan is there to see, who see all around us, and he will be probably." Caught by the people, and he will be punished. We saw only a dead body that was fully badly injured and thrown under the tamarind tree. Now turn over the next page, page number 59. This dead body was thrown under the tamarind tree between the border of Kritam and Kupam a few weeks before. So Muni added few more explanation that anything is possible over there, and he began to explain about the people, those people who are staying there, they are not so good, and he's telling to this foreigner not to go there, and this foreigner, he nodded, he just agreed. Nodded means agreed, and he shook his head and listened as if he is understanding each and everything what was Muni uttering from the mouth. I am sure you know when this horse was made. I'm sure you know when this horse was made, said the red man, smiled ingratiatingly. Now, this American man who is listening very patiently to this Muni, he has no business with these incidents. Moreover, he is not getting any single words of this Muni. So, however, he began to ask very gently, ingratiatingly means very gently. I began to ask about this statue when it was made. He reached at the relaxed atmosphere by smiling himself and pleaded, Sir, go away, sir. I know nothing, I promise. We will hold him for you if we see any bad characters around. We will hold and bury him up to the neck of the coconut pit if he tries to escape. But our village has always had a clean record. Must definitely be the other village. Now Muni sat in a peaceful environment, and he began to request to this American man, Sir, please go away from here. I know nothing about this murder case, and I promise you then whenever such kind of people will be caught by us, we will bury him up to the neck, up to here in a coconut pit if he tries to escape. But I am sure that our village has a very clean record. Our village has a very good record. Nobody commit here such kind of things. So definitely he must be from the outside. Now we have studied up to here. So in the next video we will study from next paragraph onwards.